Hi, friends. It's Sarah Keene. It's October 25th, 2022, and we have an amazing event happening right now. It is a new moon and partial solar eclipse today. We are situated now in between 2 weeks of an amazing stargate portal that helps us to accelerate our frequencies, to amplify our energy, and to magnetize ourselves to those higher timelines. We also have this fascinating global identity shift which is happening. And so this time that we are moving into the new moon, it's a time when we go inward and we look into who is it that we want to be. In the past couple of months, we've been doing a lot of recognition, reassessing who we are, and we've come across some tests here and there, and it may not have been to the depth of those tests before and the lessons before, but we may have kind of seen and tasted or touched on those flavors of tests that we've experienced before in our life. And just enough to kind of recognize, like, oh, that's a weed I want to pull out of the garden. I don't want that moving forward. And it helped us to redefine what it is that we want and who we want to be as we move forward. Unlike we've been doing it before, right? We're doing it at a higher level. We are accessing depths of our intuition that we hadn't experienced before. And all of that's been happening over the last couple of months. We've also really been feeling this global identity shift. And this is a pattern that actually takes us back to World War II, when we had a huge global event that shifted our dynamic with who we were with each other as individuals and who we were as a collective consciousness. We moved into a state of depleting ourselves for the good of the country. And that was great for that time period, right? Because it was a sense of, like, we were in survival mode and we were all trying to do the best we could. We had to send warriors out, and we had to move people who used to be very submissive into an assertive place in our society. And we all had to become heroes, and we all had to do our part, right? But it took us this unified global event to come into some kind of a solidarity in what our cause was, to unify our mission. And when we moved through that experience, we picked up a few themes. There was a few impressions that kind of moved into us. We did achieve moving into solidarity for one cause. But one thing that we didn't expect to happen is that we kept that sense of deplete the self theme. And it kind of encoded into the imprint of our DNA, as well as trauma that we sent down generationally after that. And each generation past that has been kind of cleaning that up. And that's what we do. We clean up our lineage as we move forward, because we are a species of wanting to evolve spiritually and consciously. So that sense of us moving into to figuring out how to not have to deplete ourselves anymore for the greater cause, and still be unified in a solidarity toward one single mission, which is to help each other out, to bond together, and to provide love and support with one another. That part was good, but the depletion part, we accidentally continued out of that event and put it into our relationships. So we've created some codes that were accidental codes that we brought in, one of codependency, and we've been coming out of that. My generation is really working on changing that codependency code as we are combating that narcissistic theme that's been happening in a lot of relationships. But this is what happens when we have an experience where there's high trauma, right? We have individuals, warriors, who they weren't really built for war like that, right? Nobody is. And so they went off to war and they came back very, very much with post-traumatic stress and numbed to their emotions. and they only understood their warrior sense to be the assertion of energy, to be the assertion of power. And we were, coming into that world war with also the oppression codes of taking over and dominating other cultures and races. And so these are things that now in the time frame we're at right now, that we are trying to transmute. And we have continued generation after generation to transmute these things. And what this does for us right now, let me bring it back to nowadays. As we've been cleaning up these encoded inferences of survival in our DNA and our collective consciousness, we have now been moving into this amazing time where we're experiencing an identity shift, right? And I really felt this energy happen around the time that the Queen of England passed. And they said, no country, my guide said, no country that was that big could shift individuals in the monarchy, leaders in the monarchy, without the rest of the world feeling a vibrational shift. Every individual has a different personality. We have different vibrations, and I could feel that shift happening. And what my guide said is, well, this shift actually started even before this, and we had a big identity shift around World War II. And that is now, I get mixed up on my words here because I'm trying to channel at the same time, but what my guides are showing me is like this is a time frame where we're doing a huge amount of healing, right? And we moved from that unified sense of who we were into trying to figure out how to be individuals again. And then we moved into an event a couple years ago where we had another unified cause again, right? We had everybody who kind of had to create a sense of solidarity. How are we going to move through this situation with a lethal virus on the loose? How are we going to help ourselves? How are we going to help each other? Do we have enough? How are we taking care of ourselves? How do we move through this? And so as we moved through that, we again created a solidarity code, everybody trying to think about something for the good of their country and for the good of all humanity. And how can we support each other? Right. And so some of the lessons people were getting, and we were moving through that identity shift to learn a sense of how do we not lose ourselves, as well as move into this place where we are also unified as a cause to love one another and do no harm with one another. And it's bringing us into a place where we are balancing the masculine, which is more of the, has been more of the dominating and powerful energy, right? The assertive energies, and the feminine, which we have called the nurturing energies of, and I'm not saying this isn't about male or female. This is about the masculine and feminine energies we've assigned as a collective of humans, that masculine energy is known as this and feminine energy is known as this. And so we are moving into that state of trying to balance the masculine and feminine sides. And so we're seeing this sense of how can I be powerful without overpowering other people, right? How do I move out of narcissism or codependency? How do I not give up my power or deplete myself for the good of somebody else or the good of my country? How can I be autonomous and also have agency? How can I be unified in a global cause, but also be an individual? And it's hard for humans to kind of keep that sense of how am I big and small at the same time, right? Because we're in a planet of polarities. So all of this is going on, and we're moving and shifting this huge dynamic of the global identity shift we are at this amazing stargate portal where we are opening up and and sh- and moving through this portal, having done so much introspective work in this last couple of years to learn how to not lose ourselves and to also be powerful and to also be nurturing, right? And so we have so many light workers who have embodied masculine or feminine bodies in order to learn how to be a source of power without overpowering. And I think that's where our identity shift is moving toward. So, how can you make the most of this moment in time where we have this open Stargate portal? We have this global shift. We've done so much work, and now we're trying to move forward. We're trying to be happier people. We're trying to be individuals and also think of our countrymen and also think of the world and our planet, right? What we can do in this next 2 weeks is really do a lot of work with meditation, with contemplation, holding the higher frequencies, holding higher states of emotion. If you are holding a higher state of emotion, you are in a more heart and mind coherent pattern of frequencies in your body. You don't have as many fighting energies within yourself. So try that. Try going into mantras, try going into meditation, try doing breathing, try walking meditations, working meditations, sitting meditations, rest, feed the body well. Some people are choosing to move into this time period by fasting, by doing a lot of self-care and rituals where they are taking care of the body as well as feeding into that unified energy of a higher energy for everybody. So with all that being said and done, check in with me and let's talk about it, how it pertains to you on your spiritual path. We'll get a little bit more insight from your guides. This is a really powerful time for all of us, and by just doing very simple things and keeping our energy and our frequency and our emotional state high, we are actually going to help boost ourselves up. So take care of yourself, take care of your body, acts of self-love, taking care of each other, being a loving guide for other people, and showing them compassion on their path forward is the most important. But I look forward to seeing you, and then check my calendar because I do have a meditation coming up and I will post that really soon.